Very good afternoon to all of you. Something I should have probably done a couple weeks ago when things were more in bloom, but it is time to do the Rancho 2021 garden tour. Flowers and all the various fruits that we have here, that I have here on the Rancho. So let's put the shades on and let's get to it. One of the things I've really liked planting, and I'm really glad I did this about 9 years ago. I didn't like the look of the chain link fence, and I wanted to put a variety of plant here that would flower, give privacy, and just give a riot of blooms. So I decided to plant these. They're called Lady Banks roses. They're a very tiny little rose, as you can see here, and they just make a fantastic privacy fence. The blooms, I guess, last for about 2 weeks, but then it continues to green out, and it's really, really nice. You can see it's just a riot of blooms down here. Over here, I'll tell you, in the air, you can just smell the blossoms. This is the Robertson navel. And look at all the blossoms on there. And the smell of orange blossoms and citrus blossoms is just amazing. This is the Palestine orange tree here, and I'm really happy the way this is bushed out this year. And it's the market variety of the Middle East. It's pretty rare in this area. So I think we'll get some pretty good production this year. I think I got 3 or 4 or 5 last year, but I think we're going to get a lot more than that. There's the lemon tree. The Meyer improved lemon, still very, very heavy with fruit. I have been harvesting and squeezing some of the juice for baking later. This is the Valencia orange tree here. This is the juice orange, and the nice thing about these Valencias, you can see there's blossoms here. The nice thing about the Valencia is that they will carry the fruit for months, so you don't have to worry about harvesting it all at one time. And that works really well for squeezing and for producing orange juice. It's not a very easy orange to eat out of hand because the skin doesn't peel that easily, but it's a great variety for juice, and one tree should certainly hold me as I have here. And you can see the blossoms on it here. It's looking good. This is first variety of plum tree is called, actually this is the peach tree here. It's a July Alberta. It has a few. It's not going to be a big year. You can see some of the little baby peaches growing right there. These are what you call alternate bearing. Some years are very heavy and some years tend to be very light. And I like to keep this short to build out the width of it and to give more strength and structure to be able to hold the fruit without breaking branches. Over here is one of the 2 varieties side by side. I have the what's called the elephant heart plum, and that is still blooming. And this is a variety that has wonderful purple flesh, and it's very good eating, very, very delicious. It doesn't really come good until about late July, August. It's a slow, and it's not a heavy producer, but it produces delicious fruit. There's some of the blossoms there. I did a lot of pruning last year. And this is the standard Santa Rosa plum here, and I think this is going to be a pretty light year. I'm not seeing too much in the way of production because it was very, well, I do see a few up in there. So hopefully that'll produce enough fruit this year for, at least for me to eat. Here's our pear tree. I think this is a Bosque variety, I think that they call it. You can see that that's still doing its blossoming, and it's a little pear, but it's very tasty. There that is. And we have 2 varieties of cherry trees. This is the the Bing cherry here, which is blossoming away, and this is the Stella, which is a great pollinator for the Bing. It's the reason I have two of them. And then I have a Seville orange tree, which produces sour oranges for making marmalade. Continuing over, this is really a riot of blooms. This is called a Trovita orange. It's another fairly popular variety of orange for like a navel orange. It's a good orange to eat out of hand. You can see that's really has a profusion of blossoms on there, and the smell is just amazing here. And you can see some of the little baby oranges starting. Lastly, we have the Washington navel orange over here. And it looks like that's going to be a very productive. This is really, I think, the standard navel orange is the Washington navel. It looks like we have quite a few baby oranges coming online, so it's going to be a good year for oranges. Let's head to the back. Really love having this back lot here. Gives a lot of the privacy and a great buffer to all of the density, high density apartments. And you can see I have Lady Banks roses planted along that fence line. But let's go back and see. I have two fruit trees back here. If I didn't have any fruit trees, then the city would be allowed to potentially, through eminent domain, take the land and develop it for housing, apartment complex. But since I have plantings here, a couple trees, then it's considered in agricultural use, so it's pretty much exempted from the grab. Let's see what else, see what we have. I have my other fence with the lock over here, the big swing fence. But I put the lock on about almost 10 years ago, 9.5 years ago, and I'll be darned if I can find the key. But I have some Lady Banks roses. There's a lot of shade down there, so they're not growing as rapidly. Any ideas where that key could be? Just let me know. I cut this fig tree way down because they just tend to get out of hand, and I'm not really crazy about the variety. It's called a brown turkey variety of fig, and it's kind of purplish inside, but I prefer kind of the green figs. I think that's more the kind they use in fig Newtons, but this is here, and I just don't want to totally wipe it out. But figs are very difficult to get rid of anyway. They can just sprout from the stump with no issues. And this is probably the oldest fruit tree on the property. This is a Gravenstein apple tree, which is a heritage variety, and it's just starting to come into bloom now. And you can see it's had to fight for sunlight with that big oak tree back here, and there was another apple tree planted here, but I removed that. It was pretty much rotten. I don't know how much longer this is going to last. It's certainly having its struggles here, but as long as it keeps going and producing tasty apples, I'm going to be happy. We're going to have a nice apple set. So there's a lot of blossoms on here. Usually around the 10th or so, they'll have apple blossom festivals around the area to celebrate, because celebrate apples, because that used to be a huge staple of fruit growing out here before the wine industry took over. Lastly, between the shine shack and the wall of the patio, this is a persimmon tree here, and it's a Hychia variety, which has to be perfectly ripe before you eat it. One of the reasons I really cut this back about 2 years ago was it was hanging too far over into the roadway over here, and the fruit was dropping down, and I was afraid it was making a mess and that people might slip on the fruit. So it's looking pretty good. It's healthy, in a good place. So I'm hoping this year we'll get some persimmons again.
for you now and then. Someone just like you, who can make me feel the way you do. 'Cause if I'm the ocean, you're the rain. We only need each other, baby, you know we're the same. Let's run away. All I need is you, now and always. You and me, you and me. We don't need no one else than each other. You and me, you and me. We could run away. You and me together, baby, we don't gotta stay. Let's lose our minds. We could go crazy and leave it all behind. It could be glorious, 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 glorious. It could be glorious, 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 glorious. Say what you feel. I don't even know if this is real. How